the next Toastmasters thing, are they? Welcome, greeting day, eh? Hey, good morning, Mike. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Talking Niagara this morning. It just started snowing, I've been informed. So the snow we didn't get overnight is just starting.
Oh joy, oh joy.
Right.
Well, it's coming down lightly, so as long as it stays light, I guess that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. But stay safe, everybody, and clear your car before you go anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, especially the windshield. Well, I got a split right after this to do my route, my bingo route.
Yeah. Well, I'm going into work.
I was the star of the bingo show last night again. Dave Wheeler caller.
Yeah, okay. A big winner?
We had lots of winners last night, which kind of makes me bum out a bit because when you got a lot of winners, that means your sales are pretty low. That's the usual thing I've seen when there's not as many sales of cards. There's usually less potential winners, and because if the cards are sold, then it's more likely that one or two people will win the prize. But if there's less cards sold, you have to keep calling more and more numbers, and when you do that, you get more winners.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, because there's less cards, you're going on for longer.
Yeah.
Get you.
So we changed the format. We're doing 6 games instead of 4 now for an hour and a half.
Oh,
and I think that's thrown a lot of people. I think we're doing bonus bingos, all like we're doing bingos where the last prize is $1,500 now, just to sort of entice people to keep on.
Yeah.
But we've tried to tell the people that are running it that you need a nice big fat prize at the end to keep people involved. So the $1,500 final prize is hopefully that will keep people interested. But we changed the format when we had only 4 games and each game was worth more. But now each game is worth $500, except lately the last one was $1,500. But I don't know.
The you kind of expect a grand finale in bingo, don't you?
Yes. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you want that last prize.
Because you kind of work up to that grand finale prize.
Yeah.
And then you kind of go, I didn't get it.
The format's longer.
The only bingo game I ever played, I won the grand finale prize.
Excellent. Excellent. I have to say,
in record time, I also have to add, I was one spot after getting a national accumulator.
Oh.
One piece, there was one more ball called. I got it on. I think the national accumulator would have given a massive, doubled my prize, but I got the 11th ball instead of the 10th ball. Anyway,
well, I won a trivia contest on my team. We won a trivia contest on Saturday, a music trivia contest.
Okay.
And a friend of mine goes to a certain church and they had their music trivia night. And there was about 100 people there, all competing, a bunch of different tables.
Yeah.
It included a pasta dinner, which was excellently done. Pasta dinner, and it was really, really nice. And it was all for $25. And the prize, and we won. Our table won, and we had a really good balanced team of players. What I didn't know, someone else knew. What somebody else didn't know, I knew, or my friends knew. So we were really balanced, and we won by 1 point.
Okay, well, there you go. All right. Yeah, I've not done quizzes for quite some time.
This was music.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of them were easy, but some of them were really hard. They showed the fingering diagram for an oboe and said, "What note is this?" Holy smokes!
Okay.
They showed a time.
As if you'd even know. As if you'd even know an oboe fret. You know.
Yeah. They showed us a time signature though. Or not time signature, but a like sort of a chord signature, like basically what key it was, a key signature.
Yeah.
And I looked at that and I guessed it was an E flat major, or E flat. The key was E flat, and I turned out to be right. So that was a bit of luck, though. I just kind of looked at the different flats and saw where they were, having played some instruments. I got away with that one.
Well, I would have deferred to your expertise in that one, in that regard, right? Okay, so all right. So sorry about Friday, everybody, but anyway, we're back again Monday. All right.
It's Peter's fault. I was all ready to go as usual, on time. But
yeah, but you don't have to go. You didn't have to go anywhere. I had to get out of a massive, great snowbank.
I had to go from here to the kitchen to get coffee.
Okay, so U.S. senators have introduced a bill to stop Trump seizing Greenland, and this is a Democrat Senator Jeanine Shaheen and a Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski both basically introduced this bill that would make stop the Department of Defense using funds to blockade or occupy or annex or otherwise assert control over a territory of another NATO member.
I have never seen more weird history than has happened in since that big orangutan got back into office. He is now attacking or threatening to attack a NATO country, Denmark. And he said he's lying about all the Chinese and Russian ships that are in and around Greenland. And he's saying things like that the Denmark and the Greenlanders can't protect themselves because they only got a couple of dog sleds. And this is after the U.S. has used Danish ships up there because they don't have a ship that the Danes have, which is just ridiculous. And Russia and China are in the Arctic. And when you look at the top of the world, it is pretty small, but their activity is on top of Russia. Remember, Russia owns about half the Arctic. Their shoreline there. And of course, there's all kinds of Russians in there and Chinese going back and forth, but they're going back and forth to China and that where they're doing most of their trade.
There's no route to China through the Arctic other than the Northwest Passage.
Well, no, not the Northwest Passage, the one that goes across the top of Russia.
But there's no route to China other than going. You still have to go past Alaska to get there.
No, you can start in Russia and go the other way.
Yeah, but you still got to go past Alaska.
No, you don't. You go the other way. You have to go. You have to go through that gap. You have to go through that gap of Alaska, but you don't have to go by Greenland. You can go. You have to go through the Bering Strait, of course, but you don't have to go. You don't have to go past Greenland at all.
Yeah,
you can go. So the activity, of course, there's going to be Russian activity in the Arctic because the Russians have so much shoreline along the Arctic.
Exactly.
And they're trading with China,
I don't believe there's much. I don't really, other than, there are Chinese, we know about there are Chinese Arctic expeditions and there are Chinese scientists researching the Arctic. That's fine. We know about that. We've known about that for years. And of course, those Chinese scientists get there often through naval vessels anyway. But generally speaking, the activity of the Chinese in the Arctic is known. Same as most of the activity in of the Russians in the Arctic is known, and the same way
Well,
with Canadians and Americans.
yeah, it's not. It's pretty hard to hide. So
Yeah,
it's a big fat lie. Of course, Trump's just lying. He wants to get Greenland mostly to change its name to Trumpland. In my mind, he wants to conquer something. It's a big ego thing. He's attacking. In any case, but this time no one's bending. We complained about the EU sort of bowing down to Trump and kissing his boots and telling him how wonderful he is to get their tariff rate lower. I don't think they're going to do that this time. They look at this as this is a line way too far.
Yeah,
And everybody's learned the lesson too, that the more you do for Trump, the more he demands. So if he wants 3%, you say, okay, we'll pay you 3%. And then he says, okay, now I want 5%.
Yeah,
This kind of thing. And I changed my mind. So right now, it is a terrible situation we have up there.
Denmark is saying over Greenland that Europe won't be blackmailed.
No, Europe will not be blackmailed, not this time. And they've kind of figured out Trump's style of negotiation, which is threat. And so people cow, and then he demands more. And you just got to stand up to it. And look, the Chinese did it. The Chinese stood up to him and demanded that the Chinese phone Trump. Well, guess who did the phoning? It was Trump going the other way.
Yeah.
Or at least the American officials phoning the other way because they really stuck it to themselves.
And
the Chinese says, oh, okay, we're going to fight right to the bitter end and see who wins. When they said that, all of a sudden Trump lifted all the additional tariffs. Boom, 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 just like that.
When it comes to tariffs, and we'll talk about this one later on. EU seems to be dealing with Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay as a tariff-free trade deal with that bloc.
Oh, the Mercosur trade deal.
Yeah.
Now the Mercosur nations are the four big ones are Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. But also involved in that is later addition to that was Venezuela, of all places, back in 2012, and Bolivia. Bolivia joined in 2015, and it's a rather modest little country as far as economics is. But Brazil and Argentina, of course, are the big ones, and Brazil the super big.
Yeah.
Now they've had this trade relationship with the EU for a very long time, and there's been a lot of suspicion and counter suspicion.
Yeah,
but because of and of course, it didn't really move that well. That block of nations trading with Europe did not move very well until recently, and of course, with the American tariffs and all that and threats. So that put a bit of urgency to expand Europe's ability to trade in other places. So, of course, they're fashioning out as free a deal as they possibly can. And it looks pretty darn good, to tell you the truth.
It is an interesting one because, in fact, there's exactly the sort of deal that, in way that where the European Union has come up against a blockade with America, now they're saying, okay, let's deal with South America.
Yeah, so a lot of these trade deals have already been out there, but they really haven't been ratified, and they're being negotiated and slow. But the EU is waking up a bit and sees that its future with the United States isn't what it should be, and so it has to open up its markets, and so they're going more global. And they're going. I wouldn't doubt if Canada makes some kind of deal with them too.
Yeah,
sometime in the future as well.
And so basically, they're removing Mercosur countries are removing duties on 91% of EU exports, including cars, and over a 15-year period.
Yes, they should. Yeah, they will do that. And we find that Europe now is looking to the Mercosur countries, looking again at China because of the tariff regime. So they're looking to trade more with China. They've always been suspicious of China. And as a matter of fact, their economic weapon that they designed to fight China, which is called the bazooka, that's the nickname for it, which is a trade wall that they can put up and fight any country with trade restrictions and tariffs and all kinds of other things. Ironically, the country they thought they'd have to use it with, China, is the one they're pursuing better trade deals with. And the country they thought they had confident trade deals with, United States, they're thinking about using the bazooka against the United States. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, isn't it weird? But normally the United States would have been a natural ally, of course.
Normally, but this is weird times, I'm telling you. When the leader of the free world is attacking the free world, not negotiating with them, not telling them, look, you got to put up or shut up with NATO. We need some better trade deals. No, they're not doing that at all. They're just threatening, and more threatening, and making it very clear that they are the boss man, and they don't really give a damn about Europe or Australia or anything. It's it's weird. It is really weird. It is really opposite of what the United States have been doing for 50, 60 years, building a free trade global network. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it was always fixable. But now they're changing.
Yeah, but again, all of these things, all of these imperfections are dealt with by negotiation, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, is negotiate. You can get pretty tough in your negotiations. Like the one thing I do agree with Trump was that NATO and Canada were sliding on their NATO commitments. Like they were just kind of forgetting about it all and leaning on the U.S.
Yeah, but we've improved. Most of the nations, or certainly Canada and UK, have improved that. France have improved their standing as well. I believe Denmark did as well.
Well, that's because the U.S. said, "I'm not going to protect you anymore. Like, get your act together." And so that was a good thing. That was a very good wake-up call for us.
It was. And we needed to get to that 2%.
Right? Yeah, it was always an embarrassing thing to me. Now we're going to look at going up to 5%. But we're going to need it, because
that's not going to happen in 1 year or 2 years, right? That's going to take a bit longer.
Yes, it is. So that's the one thing we can thank Trump for. The other thing we can thank Trump for is showing us how vulnerable we are to a bully and an authoritarian. He's made it very clear that we were very, very vulnerable, and the rest of the world was vulnerable to U.S. power if they wanted to use it in bad ways, like they are doing now economically. I mean, out of a whim, this guy says, okay, Canada had an advertisement during the World Series, so I'm going to throw another 10% on. Canada has a 0.002% of the fentanyl in the United States comes from Canada, so we're going to throw a 25% tariff on them. Yeah. Those things are done by whim, and they're used as weapons. Hopefully, the Supreme Court will rule against them on those things, so that the U.S. Senate and Congress will have House of Representatives will have more power over him, spread out the power like they're supposed to do.
And you were talking about issues, and in this EU Mercosur deal, one of the things European farmers are protesting, that this deal will allow cheap imports of South American agricultural products like beef, and green and food safety standards will be hit, right? And that's what they, so there are complaints. So there's imperfections even in this.
Of course, there's always going to be complaints.
Yeah.
Every farmer is going to say, no, But if you want a cheap electric car or something that comes something that's cheap that comes from Brazil and you want to buy it, yes, yes, yes. But it's just what these free trade deals or these trade deals do is open up the market and reduce the price of things, for everyone. And we can see it in certain situations here in Canada where we have high tariffs on or restrictions on things like dairy or something like that. We find that our dairy products are significantly higher than the dairy products in the United States, but that is to protect our industry. So there is that line you have to draw. Are you going to be protectionist or are you going to be free trader? If you do towards the globalist free trade thing, your prices should come down because of supply and demand, the ordinary rules. Supply and demand.
One of the things, of course, is that I think that that the EU has woken up in the last few months is that they are being that the European Union is a tariff-free trade zone. The fact that the European Union is doing deals which are zero tariff deals around the world is a good thing. They're promoting free trade.
Well, yeah, that's what the United States was doing. It was trying to pursue
that
free trade
over.
Yeah, and it's very ironic that the reason why we're in a situation where we are is China's being a dominant exporter of industrialized goods is because the American companies packed up and went over there. Not just Americans, but the European countries, the American industrialists and everything packed up in North America and Europe and went over there to build their stuff. And now it's come back to bite them.
Yeah.
But the people who packed up the stuff whatever bicycle company that was made in like CCM or whatever was made in Canada, then started making bikes and I'm just picking that as an example, but all of a sudden they start making them in China and make big fat profit. But meanwhile, there's nobody here making any bicycles. But the fat cats that took their gear over there to get it made, they're still making all kinds of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I don't know who's to blame on that one.
And let's actually move on that direction. Chinese EVs are coming to Canada as part of a deal that Mark Carney struck with the Chinese last week.
Well, if you notice that
part of this is that there's reputedly a deal out there that there's a Chinese EV that's available, fully loaded, and available on the Canadian market for about $10,000 to $12,000.
I doubt it. I doubt it very much.
It'd be a nice little in-town runaround, I think.
I very much doubt it. I think that the lowest you're going to be able to buy a Chinese EV is around $35,000, brand new.
Well, as I said, reputed. I'm not saying we'll actually see that.
I doubt it very much. Although, if all the tariffs, that's what they've claimed before, if all the tariffs come off and the EVs are sent over here, they can drop them in the market, the lower price ones for about $12,000. But I doubt very much we'll see that. What I think the reporting that I read or heard about was they're going to be targeting the low end market for cars. And that means a brand new one will be like $35,000, which is a pretty good price for a brand new car. I don't know if you can get a brand new car for $35,000 anymore. Can you?
I don't know. Probably not.
So I mean, you're paying close to that for a car that's 2 years old and used. You're paying around. I mean, when all the taxes and all that are kicking in. Mm-hmm, so it's supposed to be around $35,000, I think. But anyway, it's going to target the lower market. Of course, there's outrage because you can't make a move. You can't make a compromise anywhere without getting outrage because nobody's going to be happy. But right now, what this deal does, it brings in electric vehicles that will account for about 3% of the Canadian market for cars. And
we're only talking about
what it will do is drop the tariffs on Western canola oil, seed, and pulses.
And what will and part of this is only about 10,000 cars initially that are going to be put on the market.
Well, there's supposed to be 50,000 for
over about
20 years.
Over
and moves up to 70,000 after a few more years.
Yeah.
So I ask you, but the main thing to remember here is there was a balancing act, isn't there? Of course, Ontario doesn't want any competition at all for its cars because it's the federal government and the provincial government is put a lot of money into EVs here in our province. But we see with the tariff fight we're having with the U.S., we see that the car companies are reluctant to carry on with some of their with some of the production of electric vehicles. But if you bring in electric vehicles,
sorry about that.
Oh, sneezy. I got to dust my house.
Yeah.
So what we find as comparable countries like Australia, they had EV deals with China. They sold 50,000 of them just right away, quickly. 53,000, I think, just last year.
Yeah.
And I think we're a bigger country by population, although I don't think too many of them would be suited for farther north parts of the country.
Well, that actually is the big challenge, is that if you're putting winter tires on these things, they're no longer efficient through the wind, are they?
I don't know about that. I mean, since winter tires are for traction, not wind resistance.
No, winter tires will for traction. Therefore, they glue it to the road better. But they're also, because they have more grooves in them, they're not wind efficient, are they?
I doubt if that's not the real problem with electric cars. It's the temperature that's the problem. The battery efficiency. The colder it is, the less battery efficiency you have.
That's true as well. Yeah.
That's the big deal there.
Yeah.
But in any case,
unless you can keep them warm.
I think though that if we bring Chinese electric vehicles in and people start and they're cheap enough and people start getting used to them, I think it might stimulate the market for the ones we build here.
I think so as well. And it may force us to be more competitive on price.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on. Carney is to join the board of directors for the rebuild of Gaza.
Yeah, this is the peace board for the what Trump's called the peace board. Now he's asked Carney to join it, and Carney has agreed to it in principle. But the board is made up of, I really don't like who the board's made up of. Of course, Trump is at the top, and he's buddies with Bibi, and he does what Bibi tells him to do. And Marco Rubio and Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who is Jewish, by the way, and has strong ties with Zionists. And then, of course, you get UK Prime Minister Tony Blair. Well, now, Blair might be okay, but but the other ones, you're not going to get a fair deal with Trump, Witkoff, Rubio, and others like that. Yeah,
that actually, there's some questions around that lot. Anyway, as I say, people like Carney and Blair, I can see some reason going on there. But Rubio and co, not so sure.
Witkoff, no, God. Jared Kushner,
Yeah,
he's got all kinds of ties. But on the other hand, he's got some big business things going on with Qatar and so on. So I don't know. I think the bottom line will be how much money Jared Kushner can make on this thing for the family, for the Trump crime family.
Yeah. Well, and so basically this border peace is a Trump invention that is supposed to take over from some of the the demilitarized zones that the yellow line, isn't it? Take control of everything inside the yellow line.
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure how this is going to work.
Well, that's my understanding of it, is that takes over what's on the inside of the yellow line in Gaza. And Carney's role there, is still unclear, and it's even unclear as to what that border peace will do. And we just lost Dave. But if you buy an EV from Canada made in China, the vehicle will not be allowed in the USA, so you can't cross the border. Well, to be quite honest, if I got an EV, I'd probably only use it for local use anyway, Rick. And I'd only be interested if it was the cheap one. Honestly, there was a thing out there about a while ago about the $10,000 EV. All right. So, okay. So going back to the what is the border peace? The border peace, which Trump will serve as chair, will oversee the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas after more than 2 years of conflict, and will reconstruct the region. The border peace will play an essential role in fulfilling 20 points of the president's peace plan, providing oversight, mobilizing international resources, and ensuring accountability as Gaza transitions from conflict to peace and development. That's what the White House basically said. And the Trump plan, basically, the border peace will supervise a Palestinian committee that will govern day-to-day affairs in Gaza. So the Palestinian committee will be led by Ali Sharth, an engineer who's former Palestinian Authority official from Gaza. Okay. Dave, anytime you want to come back, all is forgiven. So that's what the border peace is all about. Palestinian, according to Sharth, the Palestinian people are looking forward to this committee to reestablish its work to rescue them. That's what he said on a TV interview on Egypt State Al Qaeda News, right? So that is what that is all about. That's what the border peace is all about. Whether it's going to be effective is quite another deal. All right. So we'll talk about that. I wonder what is going on here with Dave. He's not left me a message, and I'm just going to ask him what happened. Oh, there he is.
Again.
What happened, Dave?
Don't know.
Weird, because you were mid-sentence and boop, you just disappeared.
Yeah. Well, everybody's happy I'm back again.
Yeah, so I was just talking about what that border peace was, defining what it was. Are
there any Qataris or any Arab or Muslim countries on there? Anyone remotely sympathetic to the Palestinians? I mean, if Carney gets on there, he could probably pay a fair deal.
It's going to be run by a local person called Ali Sharth, who's a former Palestinian Authority official from Gaza, and he's an engineer.
He's an engineer, so I'd be a practical man, because
on the ground.
That's good, because the early part of the whole thing will be rebuilding. But you've got that yellow line, and they've got everybody crammed into half the size of Gaza already.
Yeah.
And there is this big push on from the Israelis to settle some of that land, particularly the Zionists like Ben Gvir and whatever the other guy's name is, Smotrich. And there is a lot of power, like, and Netanyahu needs those guys on his, that's why he lets them say anything he wants them to say, because he can't turn them away. He needs them to stay in power.
Yeah.
So, and he needs the settler movement votes too, because he needs that power. So he's letting the settlers do anything they want with impunity, beating up Palestinians, taking their land, chopping down their olive trees, and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
I don't really see much of any hope in this at all, except that maybe the bombs will stop. We see stuff on the news and stuff as the Palestinian children going back to school the best way they can, now that some of the bombs have stopped, but they're still bombing. They're still dropping bombs. I mean, they're still killing 10 people to get one, and they're not even sure if they got the one.
Yeah, it's just a few hundred a day rather than 10,000 a day bombs.
Yeah, they're like, I'm telling you, the West is really messed up. It's going to go down in history as one of the grotesquest things that could have ever happened, because the West did not have a spine and nobody could face up to Israel. And AIPAC is so powerful in the United States. They play the three monkey thing: see nothing, speak nothing, say nothing on the real bad stuff, and then they sign the paper saying, here's some more bombs for you. And that goes for Democrats and Republicans. They are spineless. Face up to AIPAC, you guys. Jeez.
All right. Okay. Reportedly this weekend, I've been saying thousands of people are pulling out of the World Cup, or refusing to buy tickets out of the World Cup for any games that are played in the USA because of the attitude of Donald Trump right now. I don't know how true this is. I've only found one place. I've seen a lot of reporting of it on social media. I haven't seen much reporting of it in newspapers, except for one called the Economic Times, which is part of the Indian Times of India, which is talking about 17,000 ticket cancellations.
Yeah, there's an effort. There's a social media effort around to ban or boycott the World Cup in the United States. And there's a variety of different reasons they give. You're not going to be safe. They're going to get hassled. And plus, just ideologically, that the United States, what they're doing all around the world, you want to protest what they're doing, the bullying they're doing inside the country and outside the country. So it's kind of like a bit of a protest thing. Right now, it hasn't really affected the sales too much because, the World Cup is so huge. But FIFA is worried that this might grow. The snowball might start rolling and it gets bigger and bigger. So they're going to try to make some kind of try to do something in which to stop that effort from carrying on.
You see, where we sit right now, I did a look around both Mexico and Canada. There are 14 stadia in the USA that are hosting the World Cup, hosting some World Cup games. We would have to, if we were to be going to Mexico and Canada, we probably only got 2 or 3 grounds that are capable of actually taking this. One of which is in Montreal, another in Toronto, and a third in Calgary. Probably the only grounds that could take the World Cup, crowd-wise. Mexico, on the other hand, has got about half a dozen stadiums that already could take the World Cup, and actually has two super stadiums being built right now. For one for the football team Americas, and the other for Tigris. Right?
I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. I think Canada's it's already planned. So whatever venues are available in Canada that can handle it were probably being used. Of course, we know that Mexico is a much bigger soccer nation than we are, so they're going to have better facilities for that. But the United States has got lots, but that is never the question anyway. It's already been planned.
It's already been planned.
The big question is who's going to show up. Now, obviously, anybody who's booked a game in Canada will come and watch, and they don't have to be afraid of anything.
Same with Mexico,
and Mexico too. It's the ones in the United States that FIFA is afraid of, and it's only been 17,000, which is like a drop in the ocean, basically. But FIFA is worried that this is going to continue and get bigger. FIFA is worried that this boycott will blow up, and they're trying to take measures to stop it. Now, one of the things they could have done was not look so weaselly when they gave Trump a peace prize.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, that is so obsequious and fawning. Oh, God, that is so embarrassing. Here, Mr. Trump, here's your gold peace prize. The FIFA, oh, God, that is sickening. I mean, it made them look so weak and fawning, like they bent back, kiss his boots kind of thing. But anyway, they think they got to do it that way, and they're going to learn that doesn't work. It doesn't work because he's going to demand more. You gave me a gold trophy. I want 2 gold trophies now.
I think there are 12 nations that qualified within the World Cup, including Iran and Haiti, where there's Trump has already stated that the fans will be banned. Not that it will stop Iranians within US or Haitians within the US going and supporting their nation.
The Haitians won't go because the ICE goons and the border security goons are going to be all around it.
Yeah.
And even if you have legal status in the United States, what Haitian is going to want to go to the stadium without the U.S. passport in their hand? Basically, even that, they might get dragged away. So there's going to be all these jackbooted goons all around the stadium, especially when the Haitians play or the Iranians play. Or even when the Mexicans play, there's going to be a lot of jackbooted goons around, with masks on, looking to club or shoot somebody in the face. I mean, that's a bit of an overstatement, but
point taken.
Yeah.
Point taken. Yeah. All right. Okay. Ricky's basically saying it's bad out there. We can't see out his window. I think I don't have to go to school today. Snowing bad out. I'm not seeing any snow at all. It's a little trickle coming down.
It's a light fall. I could see it's a very light fall of snow.
Yeah, and exactly light fall of snow. I don't see anything really.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, you sounded like a Republican congressman. I didn't see anything.
Yeah. All right. Well, stay safe, everybody. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the big news. Is these trade agreements are big, as we can see, as Carney has pointed out, that everybody has to when there's a change in the world order, you have to address that. I mean, there's nothing you can do. The world order has changed. The United States has changed its approach to world trade completely and drastically. So we do not know what the world order is going to come up with and how it's going to really shake out. But it's very clear that we cannot rely on the United States anymore as a solid ally in trade. And we have been showed our vulnerabilities, and we have to be aware of that. We're very, very vulnerable to one side trade, and that could be used against us, as it has been. The rest of the world is learning that too. So the United States, unfortunately, has to learn that
Well,
that it needs friends. It's going to need friends in the future.
well, and in
And
fact,
I don't know
actually,
how long they're going to be able to tolerate Trump.
yeah,
That is being the question out there. How long are the Republicans going to tolerate Trump? He's attacking their NATO allies. He's attacked their friends in trade. He's got a Nazi by the name of Miller running the show. That he says he said that Miller is pulling the strings behind Trump. I don't believe that, but I don't know. But Miller is quite the Nazi, and authoritarian type dude. So I don't know what's going to happen, but the trade deals are the big thing, and it may be a silver lining in that, because in the end, it's opening up more markets. Like we just saw Canada and China, Canada and Qatar. Go ahead.
I know, and that's actually leads into our last article here, which is EU and US trade deal is now on hold because of the latest moves.
We don't know how solid that trade deal is anyway, because anytime you hear reporting, if you hear real reporting, it's uncertain how the trade deal is actually put in there, and the things that added on that aren't expected. So they have a trade deal, the Europeans or the Japanese or anybody think they got a trade deal. They go to put it on paper, and all of a sudden the conditions have changed because they've agreed to a certain thing. The Trump administration thinks, well, if they agree to that, maybe they'll agree to this, and they'll add more conditions to it. So the European trade deal was being formulated. It was supposed to be signed January 26th, but that was to keep the tariffs down to 15%. But now the Europeans look like they're on a war footing. They've had it. They will not be pushed around anymore. We'll see how long that lasts.
And there's already speculation on that one over this weekend of it going up to at least 35%. Although that isn't put into this article that we've got in front of us.
Well, the Trump tariffs, actually 25%, because they're 15% now, or supposed to be 15%. And then Trump was supposed to put on another 10% because on certain countries that are resisting his, he wants Greenland, he wants to buy Greenland, and anybody resists him, they're going to be faced with more tariffs. We can only hope that the Supreme Court comes in and says you can't use them for that. You can't use them to punish people. You've got to use it for protection, not for punishment. The Supreme Court is supposed to, everybody's waiting for this decision. They were supposed to,
the decision won't come down.
It was last week on Monday. There is speculation that they will rule on Tuesday, but I wouldn't cross my fingers. Go ahead.
I don't think, usually people like the Supreme Court take months to make a decision.
Well, this one is supposed to be fast tracked.
Yeah, well, I don't expect it.
I do expect them to be able to take the IEPA part of it away from him. He's abusing the IEPA part of the law. I think just about everybody agrees with it. Even Fox News, which will tell you that that the Earth is the center of the universe and God is a giant unicorn. If it will give them any kind of money coming in, they'll do anything. They'll say anything to support the Trump regime because they have no stomach for real journalism. And of course that goes for CNN too, and the other ones. They're maybe not quite as pathetic as Fox, but they're pretty pathetic. And so you have to really go search for real news. Now this is a kind of an interesting thing. Now I was watching Fox there. I do every once in a while to see where they come, more now than ever, because I got to see where their approach is. So I know if they say something is blue, then I know it's some other color, not blue. And so I go look to find out what color it really is. Now, what Fox, so what they said now, they talk out of both sides of their mouth. They kept talking about how terrible the Biden administration was, how terrible the economy was under Biden, and blah blah blah. But then when they go over to their business side, that's the politics side of it. When they go to the business reporting, they do it square up front. They said, well, we've had 3 years of bull market. Will we have a fourth? Well, if you've had 3 years of bull market, 2 of them were obviously under Biden. So how are you telling me that Biden did such a bad job when 2 years of it was a bull market? And they're wondering whether or not, and the third year, of course, was the one past year, and it's still a bull market according to them. And will they have a fourth bull market? So if they're telling you on their political side how terrible it was and how Trump saved everything, well, how is it that they had 2 or 3 years of bull market under Biden?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know?
Okay. I don't know where you're getting this news from, Rick. LTB will not be closed due to the weather because the adjudicators are at home. They adjudicate from home.
Oh, okay.
Right. I don't know where you're getting that news from. And I'm heading into work in a few minutes. There's nothing here, and the amount of weather we've had today is not convincing me that I'm not going to go to work. It's light here, light snow. We've had snow, but it's light. I cleared up Thursday's snow on Friday. Got into work fine, and I haven't gotten any more snow. Not really.
Yeah, there's been a couple of light snowfalls the last couple of days, but nothing accumulative.
Yeah.
Anyway, so but in any case like this, there's been a very, very unusual year. We find traditional alliances collapsing. We find ourselves looking towards China as a trusted trade partner.
I still can't trust them. I really cannot trust China. There is nothing I can trust about China.
Well, you're talking politically, but economically, you have to keep an eye on it. You couldn't trust the United States. You can't trust anybody. You know, when it comes to business, when you're talking about capitalism, they're always gonna find a way of weaseling you if they can. So you just got to keep your eyes open. But if all things are fair, and then things will go well. If I've got canola oil and China needs it, we'll sell it to them. We need EVs, we'll buy it from them, kind of thing. China sells a lot of stuff in this country, so I'm pretty sure that it was happy to make some kind of allowance.
Well, at some point, we do have to deal with China. We do have to strike deals with China. So, at the end of the day, we've got to protect our own market, but again, do something with the Chinese along the way.
I mean, Mexico, Australia, Brazil, nobody there is afraid of Chinese electric cars. We are here because it's going to upset our own production. But if we're only getting 50,000 and then it's going to take a while to grow up to 70,000, and the Chinese are talking about maybe building them here. If they build them here, remember, it took a long time before the Japanese started building cars in North America. They came up with some really good cars, and they were selling them here. And all of a sudden, we're saying, we don't sell American cars in Japan. How come the Japanese are selling them here? So in order to gain access to the American market, they reluctantly at first started building cars here in North America. We build Toyotas and Hondas here in Ontario. And well, it improved their market share, didn't it? The Honda Civic, which is one of the most popular cars ever, is made right here in Allison. I think they're still made here in Allison. So it took them a while to do that. If the Chinese bring their car manufacturers over here, it'd be like the same as the Japanese, basically. If they give us jobs, if they build a plant and Canadians are assembling the cars, what's the difference if they're assembling Chinese cars or U.S. cars? U.S. Don't want any part of us, so Chinese do. So let's go with the Chinese.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, okay. So one thing to note here, by the way, is that I try to put most of the comments up onto the screen that people give me, particularly to note that actually your comments don't survive on YouTube, on the YouTube version of the broadcast, till after the live show has ended. You can add comments afterwards, but they don't survive. The original comments don't survive, so that's why I put them on the screen largely. All right.
Yeah.
Just so that people know. I think we've kind of come to the end of the show right now, because you've got to go off and do your paper thing anyway.
Paper thing?
Not paper thing. I mean, you know,
I got to deliver papers.
Bingo thing.
Yeah, things are pretty bad. I got to deliver papers, and since nobody gets papers anymore, I got to go all over the city to find the people that want to buy them.
I mean,
anyway,
bingo thing. I meant bingo.
Yeah, it's bingo cards. Yeah, I got to do that.
Slip of the tongue.
Yes, and there is some hope for Gaza, as remote as it is. If Carney gets on that peace board, the only thing I'm worried about is if Carney doesn't agree with the rest of them, are we going to get another tariff? If Jared Kushner says, I want to build a Trump Tower right here and bring Israelis in to run it right here in the middle of Gaza City, and if Carney says, oh, no, that's a bad idea, is Trump going to go around and say, oh, another 10% tariff on Canada?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Carney's got a lot to do. Like, he's got a lot. He's got his plate full.
No.
I'm not so sure he's going to have time for that, but he's a reasonable guy. He's down the middle. Like, he can see both sides. These other guys on Tony Blair, I'm not quite sure about him, but the other ones, Witkoff, Rubio, Jared Kushner, Trump, they're all one-sided.
Yeah. But again, with a board like that, it's about who's running it on the streets, not who's running it up in, a Trump land.
I'm not so sure. Trump, the Israeli lobby is very, very powerful, and Trump gets a lot of his money from people associated with Zionism. So I'm not too really. I mean, and he's told the Israeli parliament to exonerate Netanyahu for his corruption charges, give him a pardon. When somebody does that, you got to think to yourself, is this guy going to be a fair dealer? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not liking that at all. All right.
Anyway, as soon as they stop those bombs and get the kids back to school, come on. I mean, there's kids, all kinds of kids are going to need operations. Tens of thousands of kids are need operations, and you need to get that. And we need journalism in there, free journalism.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, and we need to get that all started ASAP.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are kids that need to go to school. They need to be fed. They need to be operated on, and they are traumatized. The whole population of children are traumatized.
Yeah.
So that has to be taken care of.
All right.
And we blew it by letting Netanyahu bomb the crap out of them. But now it's time to make up some of that ground with a little bit of compassion and humanity. All right. Without further ado, I bid you adieu.
Yeah. Have a great day, everybody.
Pray for